What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the RPO College Football Podcast. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones, and we got my man, the myth, the legend. You already know who he is, Mr. Ray Roberts. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Hey, we on week 3 already. It seemed like it just came, and it's going so fast already. I'm super excited because it is a wild season already. We already talked about it during the offseason. We figured it's going to be a wild season, but I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far. Ray, so far in the season, what's your overall thoughts of how everything's going so far?
Kind of like what I kind of expected as far as I didn't expect Alabama to struggle like they did last week, but I did have some questions about their quarterback play, and right now it's not looking so great. But I think I expected Michigan, Notre Dame, USC to be where I see them. And again, man, I hate to say it, they're really the only teams I worry about.
No, I hear you. Yeah, and those teams are dominating right now. I mean, it's early in the season, and we already know, especially with the Big Ten, they don't play anybody really big until later on in the season. So, we like you said, we expected them guys to play well. They are playing well. I'm more surprised that, like you say, Alabama struggling. Colorado, like all the hype behind them, they're looking good right now, and they're playing some guys right now. They're looking pretty good. And we're going to talk about that in a second. There's Clemson. What's going on with Clemson? They've been struggling, man. Like they won their last game, but the beginning of the game did not look that well. So there's a lot that's going on with college football altogether that I'm just like, a lot of it's like, yeah, there you go. We expected that. It's beginning of season, but then there's a couple of storylines that you like, whoa, like the three I just mentioned. So I think it's really cool to be able to see how the season kind of unfolding and to see how it's gonna go at the end of the season, man. Now I'm excited about it. I know you're excited about it. Let's get right into it, Ray. Because Go ahead, you want to say something?
No, I'm excited about it. I just right now it's kind of been what I expected. Like you said, Notre Dame follow. Usually Notre Dame doesn't lead off with a couple of like not great games. But the good thing about it is they did step up competition this week and still play well. So,
Definitely. To our week 2 recaps, man, we got a couple of teams that we're gonna just highlight. Most of these games are the close games, the more exciting games that we can kind of break down. First game I want to talk about, and it's aforementioned team that I just talked about, is Nebraska versus Colorado. I mean, Ray, Colorado, we wasn't on last week, so we wasn't able to talk about their first game. So we're gonna kind of tie in that a little bit with this game, but Colorado beating up on Nebraska from the beginning to the end. And Shanor Sanders, man. What can't you say about him? What's your overall feelings on this team, man?
right now he should be in the Heisman voting.
Yeah.
I mean, people were like, I think some people, not a lot of people, but some people were like, "Well, is Deion Sanders really that good? Is he going to be that good at the next level?" Yeah. Right now, he's been better than advertised. So yes,
right. I think it was because he was good for Jackson State, and he's pretty much on par what he was now than when he was at Jackson State. But I don't feel like he dominated. So like a lot of people was like, oh, well, if he comes to the college football, the FBS, is he gonna play as good as he would with any other that he did with Jackson State? And he's proven a lot that playing very well. Him and Trevor Hunter are a good dynamic duo. A couple of his other receivers are really good over there. I think that Coach got something going on right there, man.
I mean, I know this week they played a weak Nebraska team. So, last week, though, we played TCU, which was a solid team.
Yeah.
And the kid threw for 500 yards.
Yeah.
So, they've been again, we were wondering what Colorado was going to be. And they haven't beaten anybody really, really good yet.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man. Right now, they look legit. And I'm not surprised. So,
Would you say they're worth the hype at this moment? I mean, it's
Yes,
always a spectacle because you
yes.
got Coach Prime there, and he always bringing the hype there. But as a team in general, like, is it worth the hype?
Right now it's worth the hype because as long as they put points on the board, I believe they will continue to do that.
Hmm.
And I think that as long as they're winning games, the hype is real. I mean, and let's face it, they you could act like it was all about the offense, but you mentioned Travis Hunter. The
Yeah.
kid played 129 snaps in week one. That is, for one, not a good idea. Calm it down a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows you that Dion's right, just willing to do whatever it takes to win games.
Correct.
So I mean, that's why he's Deion Sanders. I mean, I hate calling him Prime. I'm not going to do it.
Mhm.
He's Deion Sanders. Prime is his to me is like his alter personality.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
it's
that's why I like it. I think that's why I like it.
no, and I like it. I like the aspect of it, but I don't
Yeah.
like it because like eventually, when this guy, his career is all said and done, people are like, someone's going to be like, yeah, well, you call him Prime, I call him Dion. Well, I call him Dion. To me, again, one of the top 5 to 10 defensive players ever to step on a football field.
Correct. Hall of
So
Famer.
that's number one. Yes, confident,
Yeah.
arrogant, but it goes back to Muhammad Ali was one of the most arrogant, guys back when I was a kid.
Correct.
Man, if you can walk the walk though, it's not arrogance, it's truth.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I can see how he can kind of get under people's skin, especially with other coaches and just the way he talks and things like that. And I do think he's a very respectful guy. You're right. But he arrogance about him that can kind of rub people the wrong way. So sometimes especially when it's your head coach doing it,
Here's the
it
other
kind of
thing, Jerome. If you're a coach on the other side of the field and you're worried about Deion Sanders and not the team that's behind him, you're making a huge, huge mistake.
and that might be some of the lure behind it. Like
Without a doubt.
it might be these coaches are
No,
like,
you played
I
on
gotta
football
beat
fields.
I gotta beat Dion instead of saying I gotta
Played,
beat these
played
players.
enough played enough football where, yeah, sometimes you say things because guys say things to you. Sometimes you say things that you don't get under the guy's skin because you want to see how they react to things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Dion is that guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy that picks it to scab and never lets it heal until the game's over. And then go lick your wounds because I just beat you.
I like that analogy. I like the analogy.
Yeah.
But do you think uh, Colorado can sustain kind of throwing they did? I mean, Shador
No, they're
threw
gonna. I think
40.
there'll be tougher games for them. I don't have their
Yeah,
schedule right in front of me, but there will
they
be
got they
tougher.
got a pretty
Yeah,
hefty
so
schedule.
there's
I don't have
going
it
to
in front
be
of me either,
tougher
but
games for them. And you know
yeah,
what? I think Dan's going to. I think Dion looks forward to those games more than the last two he played.
yeah,
I think the
100%.
first game because it was against TCU was a good team last year. That meant a lot to him. I think Nebraska win was something he really expected.
What's going on, Don? Appreciate you being in here. He says, "Yo, what's up, yo, my guys? What's going on, Don? It's been a minute. Good seeing you, man. Good
Yes, it's
seeing
been
you.
a while. How you been, man?
Great, good, man. That's what's up. That's what's up." He said, "I made some nice money on the past 2 weeks for Colorado. Hey, man, you bet on Prime, then yeah, yeah. You good stuff, man. Good stuff." Avery says, "I do you believe Prime time?"
Of
So
course.
Avery, thanks for being on, man.
Yes,
Definitely.
I believe.
No, I believe too, man. He's
But
doing a good job over
here's
there.
the only question I have. How long is it before someone tries to pluck him away from Colorado?
That's
How long?
we've
I
been good,
bet
man. We've been
if
good.
I said over under 2 years, what would you say?
I don't know. If you can make Colorado prime like a big prime school and they can provide what you need. I mean, he went there and they created new.
Okay, Jerome. It was off the
for them and
screen.
things like
You faded
there you
out.
go.
What just
Like I was
happened?
saying, like I think if you were Colorado and Colorado it starts becoming a powerhouse and you're able to they are able to get the revenue that they should, and he got there and they create new jerseys for them and all this. They could keep up with that and keep pumping money into it and helping them out. I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know
If
what,
they could
Jerome?
keep
You
it at
just
that
you
point
just
and
made
keep dominating.
and you made a good point for Colorado keeping him. You also made a good point for another team trying to get him. Because if he can create that kind of buzz and revenue in Colorado, what could he do at USC or Florida State or Miami
Yeah, I mean,
or Ohio State?
Okay, we're not doing that.
I knew that
But
would get you.
I will say this. I will say this. If Florida State opens up and they throw that money at him,
I
ooh,
was
it'd be
surprised.
hard. I mean, especially if Shador leaves Colorado and goes to the NFL, and obviously Travis Hunter. I can
That's
see
why
that
I said 2 years, because I think he'll be at Colorado for 2 years. But I would not bet on the third one.
definitely. I'd like to know how you feel about Notre Dame this year. Yeah, how you feel, man?
Right now I feel very good. I'm actually going to see them play Central Michigan this weekend.
Mm-hmm. This would be
So, but and I will say this out loud: if they lose to Central Michigan, I'm never going back.
I don't know what's worse, my picking of the Utah games, which we'll talk about in a second,
or
or
me being a jinx.
you going to the Notre Dame games.
I've
So
never seen them win at home yet. I've been to 3 games. I've never seen them win at home yet.
yeah, definitely.
They won in Syracuse. They won in Baltimore.
Avery gives them 4 years.
4 years, I
Ohio
would
State.
definitely say. You know what, Avery? I think after 4 years, I would definitely say he won't be there anymore. I would.
Definitely. No,
If you told me I had to
right.
bet Ohio
Especially
State,
now I'm thinking about it with like I said, like if Florida State starts calling and his son is out of Colorado and
you know what, I'm gonna do Chris a favor here. If they has a bad year this year, and Brian Hartline probably would be a nice head coach for them.
Yeah. And Don said he thinks that if he thinks he leaves his son goes to so yeah exactly what I'm saying.
I think again there'd be a lot of teams that would come and call, and I think if he does what we think he's going to do at Colorado, so.
Definitely, I agree. All right, move on to our next team. Let's talk about the team that I just mentioned, the Utah versus Baylor game, and that was a good game, man. And I think it's really crazy how Utah is winning without their starting quarterback. The two quarterback sets is working at this moment. I mean, we talked about it before the first game, and we were just like, we're not sure how the two quarterback thing is gonna work. I mean, it could work because you got one guy that's really good at running, and another guy's really good at passing, and you kind of use them as a combination. But they're making it work, man. They're making it work. And I will say this: this is the first game that I picked Utah, and they actually won. I will say that. I will say that.
Yeah.
The first time I picked Utah and actually won. Week 1, I actually took them to lose and actually won, which I was kind of using reverse psychology. And I actually thought they could have lost that game just because of the quarterback situation. I wasn't just saying that. Just
they could,
but they're looking good.
Yeah, I mean their defense is good. We know that their defense is still pretty good. They do enough, just like Quentin Jackson had a great game running the ball, had 130 yards. I mean, they've run the ball well. Nate Johnson, who is the other quarterback, Bryson Barnes, who can run a little bit, is more athletic than Barnes. I don't know if they have not solved the quarterback problem, though. It's going to be a problem for them all year. But they're right now they're doing enough to get by. So.
No, 100%. And, Barnes didn't have the greatest passing night, only 6 for 19, 71 yards and a pick. Johnson, who's, the backup, sort of, they say quarterback 1 or quarterback 2, he's more of the runner. He had the better passing night, being 6 of 7. He passed a lot less, but he was 6 of 7, 82 yards. But what they're doing is working, playing hard defense, running the ball, keeping the ball out of their hands, creating turnovers. They got 2 picks in that game. So I think that what Utah's doing, I think they're good, and think Rising should be back soon. I'm looking
Yeah,
it
I
up
think
now.
you're saying week 4 or
Week
week
four.
5, maybe. Yeah.
Got you. So if they could keep up with it and keep this team afloat, I mean, I think they're gonna do some good stuff later on
Yeah.
in the season. And I'm gonna look at their schedule real quick. The next 4 games, like they play Webster this week, but then the week 4, which is their big game, is gonna be UCLA. So if you can come back for UCLA to keep them 0-3, and we'll see how they do from there. But I really like this Utah team. I really do. I
I
always
do.
have.
I'm a fan of the defense, and again, as long as they can do enough on offense to not score some points, I think they'll be fine.
Definitely. All right, let's get to our next one real quick. Iowa versus Iowa State. So Iowa beats Iowa State 20-13 in their rivalry game. The Cyhawk Trophy game, or however you want to call it. What do you think about this game, man? Obviously, former Michigan quarterback McNamara is playing back there. Didn't have the best game. He did throw a pick, only 123 yards. But overall, what do you think about this game, Ray?
Kind of a sloppy game. Not a whole lot of offense. A lot of just like guys not really moving the ball well. I mean, it was okay. Like you said, I expected more of Cade McNamara, but he like 12 of 22,
Yeah.
123 yards, had a pick. Nothing special. But again, Iowa State is like are more of a defensive, usually running type teams, but
Hmm.
they didn't even really run the ball that well. It was just a really
Yeah.
sloppy, not entertaining game to watch, really.
Correct. Yeah, it was low scoring. Like you said, it's very sloppy. It wasn't entertaining. Don says he don't like what he's seeing out of Michigan and Michigan State. I mean, it's hard to say, man. They're winning their games. I don't think they're like losing it. I mean, unless like the only thing I will say is like I wish Michigan was blowing out the this winning teams a little bit more than they are, but like at the same time, like they don't have the head coach, so we're using a head coaching rotation right now, so they're kind of figuring things out with there. So everything's not going to be spot on with Michigan right now because they're like I said, the head coach's not in there. So I'm not, like I said in the beginning of the season, I'm not worried about the first 4 games. It's like, in a sense, kind of like a preseason game to me, kind of like get their feet under them, and then Jim Harbaugh should be back. I feel like we should be clicking a little bit more on centers. I will say this, because we're not going to be talking about Michigan today. I will say this. I think Blake Corum is still getting his feet under him. He looks slower than normal. I will
Yes.
say that. He's playing well, but he looks slightly slower than he usually do. So we'll see about that. Ray, you want to add into any of that?
No, I agree. I think their offensive line is not played as well as I expect them to.
Correct.
They've not run the ball as well as I expect them to yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's just an edge missing because the head coach isn't there, to be honest with you.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
I do. I mean, like, as much as people like to scrutinize Jim Harbaugh, the
Mm-hmm.
guy has an edge to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that simple.
Yeah, and as far as Ohio State, I was expecting them to have a slower start anyway. Having a new quarterback, couple of pieces going to the NFL, I kind of expected it. So Ohio State, Michigan, I'm not worried about them right now. Again, playing weenie teams, they're not like, all right, let's just say they're not looking like Clemson right now. So
Correct.
if they was coming out and starting to look like Clemson, then I'll be a little bit worried about both teams. But I think they're doing what they need to do. They're kind of figuring things out. I'm not worried right now. We'll see how things go later on, but I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our next game. USC versus App State. I think this is one of my favorite games. One of the few favorite games of this week.
As boring as Utah and Baylor were, and Iowa State, this game was exactly opposite of both of them.
Yeah, this game
Right
was
up down the
exciting.
field. This was fun to watch. Of course, I'm a big Matt fan. We kind of know that. He didn't disappoint, man. Everybody had a good day running the ball. They ran the ball for like like over 200 yards. They did a lot of good things. Sorry, Marion Hampton had 234 yards himself.
Yeah,
They ran the ball for 321 yards in this game. So, I
that's
mean, so
great.
you look at Drake May, 21 of 30, 208 yards. Wow. Because if you're averaging 9 yards a carry, why would you not run the ball?
Yeah, man, you gotta keep whatever's working. You gotta keep going with it. So I agree with you. Do this game say anything a little bit more about like Drake Mace to you though, Ray? He didn't have
Um,
any touchdowns this game. I know 208
no,
yards, but
it's kind of said to me that Mac Brown said, you know what, let's just keep running the ball. And honestly, if anything, it tells me that maybe Drake would rather just win the game than worry about his stats, and that's not a bad thing.
yeah,
I mean, because if I'm the first or second best quarterback in college football to some people, not this guy, but to some people, then I want to put my numbers up there because I want my name to stay up there.
yeah,
But when you're running the ball, you're getting 9 yards a carry. Why not just run the ball? I mean,
yeah.
you're getting like a first down almost every time you throw the ball in the running back's hands. So why go away from that? You know?
No, I agree, and we talked about this some time ago, last year, because they seemed like they was going through some identity crisis. Drake May, even before then, who was the quarterback before Drake May? I forget his name.
Sam Howell.
Um, Sam Howell. There you go. They had Sam Howell. When they had Sam Howell, even the first year of Drake Mays, they was like, let's run the ball. I mean, let's pass the ball. Let's pass the ball. But like they had two really good running backs. Like
They did.
was like, why are they passing so much? They got two good running backs. They need to at least have it balanced, or a little bit more running than passing. I know, Howe was a serviceable quarterback, and so is Drake Mays, but it's just like stick with what you're good at, and I think this shows a lot about them, and we'll see how it stays because you know how you UNC been the last couple of years. They be like, oh yeah, we're gonna run it all game, this game, and then all of a sudden they just pass it all game and then lose the game. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited about Appalachian State playing so well as they did too. They had a really good game. I always say Appalachian State is one of those good teams that have been playing. I think didn't they just leave? They're in.
Yeah,
Are they in it? No,
they switched
they
conferences.
still in the. Say again.
I think they switched conferences too.
Yeah. They did, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Where are they at now?
I'm not even sure about that, Jerome. I just lifted them up yesterday.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't.
So.
I mean, I like the program. They play good football. Again,
Right now they're still in the Sun Belt.
yeah, well, that's the same though. Or maybe they're moving like next year or the year after or something like that.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be moving or something like that. But
I'm pretty sure. But I mean, like North Carolina always comes down to they don't play enough defense. Though.
Yeah,
they always have good offense. They always put up numbers, but they don't play any defense.
True.
So, and I keep waiting for Mac Brown to fix that problem, but it doesn't seem like he's ever going to fix it. So.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't recruit defensive guys for some reason. It's very interesting.
It is interesting.
Or it could be just the coaching. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's something it's weird because I feel like they get some solid recruits going to USC. I don't feel like they don't.
It seems like
a lot of Georgia kids. So
they get more offensive players other than defense for some reason.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. So
it's a shame.
But yeah, very good game. I thought it was a cool game to.
It was a good game. It was a fun game to watch for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go to the next game: Cincy versus Pitt. So Cincinnati winning that game, 27-1. This is one of our tiebreaker games, Ray, from last week.
It was, and you won that.
Yeah. I just felt like they was gonna get this game. I felt like it was a good game for them to win it up, to not win it all, but to win it. Just because your guy over there, I don't know how to say. I always forget how to say his name. But
Dracovic. Phil
Jakovic
Dracovic.
got 3 touchdowns, but only had his completion rating was horrible
Yeah, he
in
was
that
bad.
game.
I keep waiting for this kid to develop and become the player I thought he was going to be 3 years ago, and I guess it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I figured, Cincinnati's defense was going to be good enough to withhold them. I mean, they kept them not. Their total yards was 262 yards the entire game. So only 83 rushing yards in that.
Yeah, they don't do enough on offense, man. They were really bad. So I really wanted Dracovic to develop into, because he has talent. He's a fairly athletic kid. He has a strong arm. You just don't see him to. He doesn't seem to process very quickly, and he doesn't seem to be accurate downfield the way he should be. But
Mm-hmm.
I still like
Yeah,
him as a prospect. But this will be his third team now in 4 years. So we'll see.
yeah, he was Boston College last year, right?
He was Boston
Yeah.
College for 2 seasons. Got hurt like 2 years
It's
ago.
hard. It's hard to do that though, man. Like different teammates, different schemes, different
That's what I do.
coaching, different atmospheres.
This is why I'm not going to argue. I'm not even going to complain about the portal anymore. I'm not, because it is what it is. But this is what I mean. You're not helping these kids by letting them just switch teams all the time.
Yeah. What was the quarterback from Pitt that was originally at Pitt and then he moved? Well, no, he wasn't originally at Pitt. He went to Pitt last year and then he moves again this year. I think he went to Boston College too, or something like that. I forgot his name. Oh, he was at USC first, then he went to Pitt. Now he's somewhere else. I think he's Boston College. I can't remember his name. Comment section. Let me know if y'all can remember who I'm talking about. The quarterback.
Again, you're not helping these kids develop. You're really not. Like the
Mm-hmm.
worst thing you could do to a quarterback is keep changing offensive systems.
Is it Solovic?
Slovak. Oh, yeah. Kid from USC. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, you're not, like, if the rules were the same 30, 40 years ago as they are now, Tom Brady would have changed teams 3 different times probably.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he always thought he was an alpha male. Just that Michigan is one of them teams where, man, you wait your turn.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's all there was to it.
100%.
You know?
Don says, any unders y'all doing this week? We'll talk. And like last year, so we've been doing that again. And we keeping records like last year too. So keep it a little entertaining. We'll talk about that in right after this last game. Don also says that Cincinnati's cooking right now. They're looking pretty good. We'll see when they start playing some better teams, but I think they're looking pretty good right now. All right, let's get to our last game of the night, and I hope Avery's still in here so we can talk about this. Alabama versus Texas. I think this was a good game too, right? It was down to the wire. Alabama was actually winning this game for the most part, and then Texas came back. I'm sorry, Texas was winning at halftime. Alabama came back, but then Texas just finished it at the end. But for Quentin Ears, man, he showed me a lot, Ray. He showed me a lot. I don't think we doubted him, but like we wasn't sure if he was going to be able to take that next step.
He's a talented kid and he's a good football player. He played really well. I'm a little surprised that Alabama didn't find a way to get more pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what usually shakes up quarterbacks, and they kind of they wanted to play coverage.
Yeah. Hey, look, Prime and Saban got that Affleck commercial, man. Every time I see him, I'm just like, somebody trying to take the reins, man.
There's a lot of work.
Doesn't have a quarterback and a defense that's same this year. Yeah, I agree. Jalen Monroe, he was my biggest question mark coming into the season with Alabama. I didn't think their defense was going to play they're not bad, but like they're not Alabama good. You know?
They're having a hard time. They've lost a couple defensive backs the last few years, and they're having
Yeah,
a problem replacing those guys right now. They are.
correct.
Because I mean, if you look at
Yeah,
yours, they only ran the ball for 111 yards, which I know sounds solid. But in
yeah,
full college football, that could be a good half.
yeah.
Sometimes if you're
I
running.
mean, I still think they got some solid defense, but I don't know. I mean, obviously their biggest name they got on their team is Kool-Aid McKinstry, or however you say his last name. So it's
Yeah,
weird.
but you know what?
See,
If you saw what Texas was doing, they were putting their best receiver against him, and then
yeah,
just taking him away from wherever they were going to throw the ball to.
correct.
So yeah, McKinstry's really good, but
Yeah,
he's one guy.
correct.
They don't have
Correct.
multiple guys back there this year,
Yeah.
which I mean,
No,
yeah,
I agree.
but I just don't. Yours is a good player. 349 yards, 3 touchdowns against Alabama. That's really good and usually doesn't happen.
Don says, like a coach told me, if a quarterback runs, that means somebody's open.
There's different ways of looking at that, man. Right now, I think most teams would like a quarterback that can at least run some. But I like pocket passers too. So
Definitely. What's up, Chris? Thanks for being in here in the chat. He says, all seriousness, all last Saturday showed if Ewers wasn't hurt last year, they would have beaten Alabama also. They beat Alabama last year though,
they
didn't they?
didn't. They lost to them 20-19.
Oh, that's right. They lost by a point.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
It's a good
Hey,
point there.
Chris, I agree with that. Yeah. No, you might be right about that, Chris. I know a lot of people were like skeptical, especially during the offseason, because Arch Manning, sorry, not Archie, Arch Manning is there challenging him. But like from all the like I was saying in the offseason, all the reports I was hearing, Arch Manning did not seem like he was ready. He did not seem like he was
No,
ready yet.
and
He's a
yours is
freshman.
very, and yeah, and yours has been playing college football for 3 years now. So
Yeah,
and he's good.
exactly.
I mean, no one
Yeah.
never questioned that he's good. He's good.
Correct. So, and I'm glad that he didn't go to Ohio State. Anyway. Well, technically he did. He did. He just left. Sorry, Chris. I had to tip my jabs in there. All right. So, overall, I think this was I think, I was expecting Texas to run a little bit more. They
Well,
had success
it's
running.
Texas,
I just, always think about running when I think, see
of course.
Texas. Oh,
Mhm.
and Xavier Worthy is a really good wide receiver.
He is very good, actually. Yeah, he's really good. I just honestly, I wish that they would have played a little bit later in the season. Alabama, it's a tough game for Alabama. Week 2 basically.
Definitely. Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, it's still early. We'll see how it goes, but I mean, as always, Alabama always have a tougher schedule because of who they are, and where they play. So they're gonna be playing the likes of like LSU and all those other teams. Obviously, they don't play Georgia each year, which I know.
Yeah, Jerome's going to say I'm not a fan of that. I think Alabama and Georgia should play each other every once in a while during the regular football season. I don't understand why we can't have that game when it matters a little bit more. But again, that's just me. So, so I guess that was the last game we were going to talk about, even though I have a couple more. So let me go over Oregon, Texas Tech. Bo Nix continues to impress, playing good football, man. He looks like a different guy since he's been in Oregon, to be honest with you. So maybe he's needed. That's where a spot where maybe a change of scenery did him some good. But they won 38-30 against Texas Tech. Again, Texas Tech underachieving on offense and defense as usual. So, I don't know what else Jerome has scheduled, but I'm going to just go through the games I have for this week. We have Kansas State, Missouri. I have Kansas State to win the game. They're favored by 4.5. I think they're going to win the game outright. LSU versus Mississippi State. They're favored by 9.5. I'm taking LSU. UNC versus Minnesota. It's a fairly close line, I believe, but I'm going to take UNC only because Minnesota doesn't score enough points to keep up with them. I got Pitt at West Virginia. Pitt is a 1 point favorite. Oh, you're back. There you go.
I'm back.
There you go.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, well, I got Pitt as a 1 point favorite at West Virginia. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh to win that game. You want to go over the games real quick again?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Real quick before
Right.
we do that, I want to get into comment section because
Got
our comment section going kind of crazy today. I like it.
Okay.
So Don had a quick NFL question. Do you think that he don't think Patrick Mahomes is as good because it's Tyreek making him look better that Tua makes him look, and that's what he meant to say Tua. What's your quick analysis? Because we're not NFL, but quick analysis. What do you think about that?
Do I think Tua is good only because of Tyreek Hill? Is that the question?
I think that's what he's trying. I don't know. I think he's saying he don't think Patrick Mahomes is that good, and how I think
Patrick
he's trying to say
Mahomes
like Patrick Mahomes is not as good without Tyreek Hill.
Well, who would be?
Because how Tyreek Hill is making Tua looks. I think that's what you mean.
Okay,
and you can clarify that with me there.
Who would lose? Who would lose one of the top 2 or 3 playmakers in the whole league and not suffer from it a little bit?
Yeah.
But I mean, Patrick Mahomes still threw for 5,000 yards last year. So let's not act like he didn't have a great year. But would you like to have Tyreek Hill? Yeah, I think if you ask Patrick Mahomes in a quiet room, you're like, yeah, I like that Tyreek back for sure.
And I don't think it's the fact that Patrick Mahomes didn't look as good, especially because week 1, those receivers dropping on-point passes, and he would never had an
Tony. Kadarius Tony is the only person I've ever seen that can have a ball in his hands and never touch it.
No, for real. He had that ball in his hands
and never touched it.
Became a pick. Patrick Mahomes never would have thrown a pick if that didn't happen. So I'm not gonna say it's a Patrick Mahomes thing.
You can argue this. Travis Kelce, when after they got rid of Tyreek Hill, became Mahomes' number 1 receiver. Take away any team's number 1 receiver, and what are they going to do? Like, yeah, you could survive a week, 2 weeks. What are you going to do for a season if you're number 1 receiver? What would Buffalo be without Stephon Diggs?
100%. I mean, we seen it.
Yeah,
we seen it. So
yeah. So I mean, like,
Chris says, Xavier Worthy, number 2 receiver in the draft. A little early for the draft talk, but I can see him being in the top 5. I can see him being in the top 5.
He's easily a top 3 or 4 receiver in college football, without a doubt.
I agree.
Without a doubt.
He said Florida's hot trash.
Florida is, you know what? I don't have them winning this week. I'm not going to call them hot trash. I think they have a lot of work to do in Florida. They do.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Said Texas Tech to choke artist. I had a question. Why the hell does the coach go for it on 4th down so much? Not sure which coach you're talking about. You talking about Florida? I think if you're talking about Florida, if I'm not mistaken, I think the coach said in the offseason that he needs to be a little bit more aggressive. If I'm not, I could be wrong. I don't know what coach you're talking about, but if you're talking about Florida, I think he said that.
I don't mind any coach being aggressive on 4th down as long as they're not on the inside their own 50, 40 yard line. So,
gotcha. Yeah, he said he liked West Virginia, and yeah, that's what I meant. Typo on Tony. Okay, cool. So we're caught up on our comments. So again, guys, keep on coming. We appreciate you guys being in here. But let's get to our game picks now. I know Ray kind of talked about his a little bit already, so let's get into the conversation a little bit. So let's start with the first game that we have on here, K-State versus Mizzou. Very close game. K-State was, one of those teams that I really liked last year. They're ranked 15 at the moment. They're only favored by 5, but they are away. Who are you taking in that one, Ray?
I'm taking Kansas State.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Until I see Mizzou do something, and they looked a little better this year from the first few games that we've seen. But until they do, I can't just say it's going to be Mizzou. I don't trust Mizzou right now. I still really don't trust them.
I don't
So
trust. Yeah, I mean, there's you just have more trust in Kansas State. They usually
yeah,
find a way to score points. So
yeah. So he Don says K State as well. So yes,
yeah,
I agree with that as well. All right, let's get to our next game, and that will be LSU versus Mississippi State. LSU is favored by 9.5. That line moved very fast. I'm not sure what happened, but they moved very fast. They are
yeah.
ranked number
So
14.
I'm going to take LSU in that game, obviously.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take them as well. Again, another team that I can't trust is the Mississippi State team. Very talented teams, but can't trust. Defense needs to be a little bit better for me.
Correct.
Don said pass.
Agreed.
I agree as well. All right, next game, UNC versus Minnesota. So that one was close. I feel like that one would have changed. I don't like when I looked at it. I was like, this was gonna change. Oh, it didn't. Okay, so no, it did. It did change a little bit. So I got USC's at home. They're ranked number 20 versus Minnesota. But uh they got they're favored by 8 points at home, which we always say they give them about 3 points for the home team. So it's a little bit closer than I would think. Who you taking right there though, right?
Taking North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. As
I
long
just
as North Carolina don't have that identity crisis, just run the ball and place a little defense. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
I just think that Minnesota's doesn't really. They'd rather run the ball. I don't think they'll score enough points to keep up with North Carolina.
Yeah. Don says Minnesota in the points, I see them trying to play away, keep away ball, run the ball. Yeah.
I agree. That's how I would go about winning the game if I was Minnesota, but I don't know if they can. And I think North Carolina will get their ball; they'll score points. So
I agree. I agree. Real big game here. We got Tennessee versus Florida. Trying to find the game and the line. Okay, so we got
7.5.
Florida's home. Tennessee is favored by 6.5. Um, Tennessee favorite. I mean, ranked number 11 right now. Who you taking?
I have Tennessee. I mean, I have favored by 7. So
Okay.
I don't like
Yeah, I got,
crazy like they went down. I have a point in the line, but I still
yeah,
think they're a away team. They should beat Florida. It may be a close game though.
yeah. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think this is one of the better games this week. I
Could
to
be.
be honest, right, I don't think there's a lot of really great games this week.
There's not.
That's
There's
probably
nothing
the
that I can see.
yeah,
I see a couple games that could be entertaining.
correct.
I think really at the games that we have, I think Syracuse Purdue should be a good game.
Yeah, I agree, and we're gonna talk about that second
Yeah.
that game. But next game we're gonna talk about is Pitt versus West Virginia. So this is a pick'em game, Ray. This is a pick'em game. You picked Pitt to win earlier in the
Yeah, I
season.
took Pitt. I want to say with Pittsburgh.
You staying with Pitt?
Yep.
I am too, actually. So right now we're completely the same.
Yeah.
But I'm taking Pitt as well. I think this is a different type of game, different type of team. West Virginia, as even though I like Coach Brown, I just think that he haven't been able to put it all together with his team yet.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of on the hot seat, I think, right now. So
Mm-hmm.
he said, Don says, I wish Tennessee had the freshman quarterback. Who's the freshman? Oh, Nico. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's gonna be a dog, but they got the boy over there. So I mean, everybody's saying he's gonna be a first rounder quarterback right now. So we'll see how that goes. But
We'll see.
look, I'm not a big Milton fan, as you might know from me being a Michigan guy. But
Yeah.
didn't Coach Brown definitely played for Troy. He started at Troy. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Either. Good observation, Don. All right, let's get to the next game, which is gonna be TCU versus Houston. Houston is at home, but TCU is favored by 7.5. That line definitely changed.
I have TCU.
I think this game I'm taking them too. I think this game is very interesting because both of these are teams that lost a lot during the draft, especially at key positions. So it's gonna be this game's gonna be interesting to see. This might actually be a pretty good game, actually, despite that line. Um,
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think there'll be a lot of points scored if you like that.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk about the game that aforementioned team by Ray over here. Pittsburgh versus Purdue. Purdue is home, but Syracuse is favored by 2.5, which is pretty much a pick 'em. Who you taking here, man?
I'm going to take Syracuse, I guess, man. I'm not crazy about this game, but I'll take
Mhm.
Syracuse. I think they're a little bit a more complete team than Purdue right now.
I agree. Damn, we are literally agreeing with every game. But I'm agreeing with you with that one. Don says Houston has a nice defense. They do. But they lost too much on offense for me, in my opinion. So that's why I'm not trusting them.
Yeah,
That's going to be a good game. I'll watch it. Yeah, yeah. I
I
think that's
agree.
going to be a good game too.
Yep.
So we'll definitely see how that one goes. Last one we have on our list is Fresno State versus Arizona State. Who you taking?
I'm taking Fresno State in that game.
Oh, come on, Ray.
I don't have faith in Arizona State, man. I can't
I
help
don't either. I don't either. Trying to find that line real quick, but yeah, I'm taking. We literally double. So with that being said, that helps me out though. Even though I don't like doing this because we on the same page on everyone,
it. Yeah.
but it does help me out because as of right now, I am 11. Oh, sorry, 16-5, and Ray is 14-7. So no matter what we do this week, I'm still gonna be up 2 points from you. So I don't like doing that. I don't like us, but I think this is the first time in weeks that we've done this though.
Yeah.
Every single game. So I mean, like I said, this week is not the greatest week, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably lose one or two of these games, but we'll see. But he says, can we talk AB UAB game? So let's talk about that. UAB, who are they playing? UAB. UAB versus Louisiana. They'll be at home. They are favored by 2.5. Just for giggles, right? Who you going to take on that one?
I would take UAB. I just don't know about Louisiana. I've not seen them play at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think Brendan Baxton, the quarterback from the Hurricane, there. I think that he's a good, solid player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think either one of these teams played great defense though. So
Yeah. He said I was going to take UAB. USB has one hell of an offense. Yeah.
they do. And again, neither team is great on defense, and that's why I would take UAB. I think they'll just outscore them. It's kind of like I said about the Minnesota game against against
I don't.
UNC. I think they'll
I
just
don't.
get outscored. You know,
Yeah. He don't trust Louisiana's quarterback.
no one does. I don't think Louisiana trusts them either, but it is what it is, man.
Definitely.
It's
Definitely.
hard,
All
man.
right.
Like you got teams like losing guys every year now, so
Definitely.
it's hard.
All right. Well, let's look through a couple of other games. These are games since we got a couple of minutes left. Let's talk about some other games that you can. It's not gonna count to our account because
Okay, that's
we might have these, but we can talk about some closer games. Um, Iowa State versus Ohio. Who would you take in
I would
that?
say Ohio.
Ohio
I would
is
take Iowa
home.
State.
Iowa State is favored by 3.
I would take Iowa State.
Yeah.
Even though they're favored by 3, it's not a lot for being against Ohio, but
Thanks, y'all, man. We are back in business. We are back in business, sir. Yes,
yeah,
we are.
we
Yes, we
are. Um,
How about this game? Liberty versus Buffalo. Buffalo's home. Liberty's favored by 3.5.
I would take Liberty. Again, they have a really good offense. Buffalo was a team that was really good 2 years ago, and last year
Correct.
was nowhere near as good. So
Yeah, well, they were good 2 years ago because they had a really good running back there.
good running back. They run it for a ton of
They
years.
had two really good running backs actually, and since
Yes,
they lost, they haven't been the same, man.
it's correct. And man, I cannot imagine it's easier to recruit in Buffalo. So
Correct. So,
who the heck wants to
um,
live up there?
yeah, it's actually kind of disheartening seeing that Patterson is kind of been struggling in the NFL. Like I don't think he's struggling. I just think like maybe so. I think the thing about NFL is that like if you're an undrafted guy and you're not a practice type of guy, it makes it hard for you to like stay on the team because
You know
you're
what
only
else is
getting.
you know what else I think it may be, Jerome? Like because these guys play at smaller schools,
Mhm.
they're like treated like they're really stars, and they are at their school.
Yeah,
But if you're a lower round draft pick or an undrafted guy, you better be able to bust it on special teams.
yeah,
You
yeah.
better be, because if not, like yeah, man, you can make a nice living being a gunner for 10 or 15 years, man.
Correct.
And you
Correct.
may be your only skill. But
Mhm.
ask James Fresh.
Yeah.
James Fresh made a great living being a good fourth receiver, fifth receiver, and a great gunner, dude. Even the other guy that they had that went to Miami and now he's with I can't remember who he's with now. Another guy who's
Mhm.
made I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but another guy who plays on special teams. Makes a nice living, man.
Yeah.
I so I think again, if you're a guy who's coming, you're an undrafted guy, you better be able to excel at special teams. Because if not, it's like being a fourth, fifth corner. You
Yeah.
gotta play special teams, man. If you don't, you're
Correct.
not.
Oh. Oh. Fancy alert.
Yeah, I have him in my league too. So
Well, shout out to Jared Passion. I'm glad that he literally just got signed today to the Chargers. I was trying to figure out
who
who
did?
he got signed to.
Oh, okay, Jared Patterson. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, Jared Passion. So one of the inside the hatches guys. Really productive guy.
no, he's a really good kid, and he was
Yeah,
a great college player.
correct.
Again, maybe he falls into that he doesn't. He's never really done special teams too much.
Hmm.
So maybe it's where he may have to find himself there. I mean, like we know the kid's tough and he can run. He's got a good
Yeah,
nose for football.
yeah,
He just needs a break, man. I really
yeah.
believe that he needs a break.
I agree. I agree. Well, hopefully he does good things in LA. Real quick, let's talk about a couple of other games really quick. James Madison versus Troy. Troy's at home. They're favored by 3 though. I'm taking in that one.
I would probably take James Madison in that
I think
game.
James Madison too. I mean, they played very well versus Virginia. Tells me a lot about that team. Virginia, although Virginia's not the greatest team, but like they are, they get better recruits there than James Madison would. And
Yep.
this is their first year in this league
Yeah.
or second year, first year.
I think
So
yeah.
hey, man, I like them.
I like it. I think they've done a good job.
I agree. I agree. Louisiana Tech versus North Carolina. I'm sorry, North Carolina, North Texas. Louisiana Tech is at home. They're favored by 4.5. You take it?
Probably would take Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, I'm taking Tech too. North Texas been. I like them the last few years. I just think like at the end of last year they just fell off after they losing some guys. So we'll see about how that goes over
Yeah.
there. Let's see anything else kind of close. We talked about the Purdue game. Um, New Mexico versus New Mexico State. 1 point game. Mexico is favored by 1. They're at home. Who taking there?
I would take State. I would take New Mexico State in that game.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree too.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's all of them, man. So
Right.
all right. Well, that's gonna do it for us today, guys. We thank each one of y'all for coming on. Before we end, let's see if Ray got a Ray rank today. Ray's rank. Ray's rank.
You know what? I don't really, but I will say this. I watched Aaron Rodgers play 4 snaps the other day. I go down with an Achilles, and man, I hate Jets. I am not a fan of their fans, but I don't like when guys get hurt. I rather play teams when they're full strength, and I do feel bad for the guys that are good Jets fans that aren't conceited blowhards. There's not many of them, but there are some of them out there. And it's hard to watch your whole season. Just like, don't get me wrong, they're a good defense. They should have a good running game. Their offensive line is scary. Maybe the worst offensive line in the league. If not, it's like one of the top 5 worst offensive lines in the league. And but here I will say this. I hope Aaron Rodgers comes back. I don't think he will, because if it were me, I probably wouldn't come back. You're 39 years old, you got rehab for a whole year, and then you maybe come back and play again. You're going to play like Aaron Rodgers. I probably wouldn't come back. But to the New York Jets fans, I would say this. Dude, sometimes when you run a used car, you get screwed.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I wanna add into that Aaron Rodgers conversation real quick, because there's a part of it that like bothers me a little bit too, especially being a former player myself. Um, First and foremost, I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna come back, mainly because the hype around the team. They had the hard knocks going on. He looked like he really enjoyed the team. And unlike what he was doing at Green Bay, he was really bought into like talking with like the younger players and being with the younger players. I think just that and alone, yes, the rehab's going to be annoying. He is going to be older. He's not going to want to really do that. He's probably not going to even play the preseason because of that. Anything really during the training camp much because of that. But I think that with that alone, I just think that he might feel like he owes the Jets something. He only played 4 snaps. 4. He did more running out of the tunnel than he did on the field. So I just think that, like, it might be a good thing for Zach Wilson though. I mean, I seen Aaron Rodgers really put that kid under his wing. I feel like he's gonna really be a coach.
Jerome, you know what the shame of it is? If it were week 6 or 7, I'd agree 100% with you. Mm-hmm. I think if he would have been able to go out there and watch Aaron Rodgers operate this offense for 3, 4, 5 games,
that might have helped him out.
That probably would have helped him a lot.
Yeah.
Now he kind of has to just pick it up and run with it. I mean, man. Again, I hope Zach Wilson turns out to be a good quarterback. I have my doubts about him, like I had my doubts about him coming out of college, but it doesn't change the fact that I want these guys to be as good as they can be. So
I agree.
It's a shame, man. I think it would have been better if he'd have got to watch Aaron Rodgers play for a couple games before it happened.
100%. So. And my last point: do something about that field, man. Do something about that field. It is killing everybody. And I don't like to see it. I don't want none of my Eagles got to play on that field twice a year. I don't want to see that.
You know what's funny though,
like
you know what's funny?
You guys got to play twice on that field.
You know what's funny? Do you remember Leroy Horde? He used to be a running back for the Browns, and he played for New England, played for Detroit. He was a good, solid football player. Okay, he does a podcast down in Miami, and remember when when Aaron Rodgers hurt, what was it? He hurt his
shoulder.
No, it was like his lower leg somehow. Remember his calf? He strained his calf.
Oh, okay.
When that first happened, Leroy Horde said this, dude. Yo, man, they might want to be careful with him because a lot of times, a strained calf can lead on to like a strain or a torn Achilles. Mm-hmm. He said that a month ago.
Oof.
Yeah. He said he said the other day when they were talking about, he goes, yeah, I kind of said it to you guys, and I said, yo, man, I goes, I strained my calf twice. Right after I did it the second time, I tore my Achilles. He goes, your calf will tighten up like that because it's a strain on your Achilles. And then after it's too bad, it just snaps.
Oof. Yeah, and just create a replay of when it snapped, and you can just see the muscle just move.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I hope he recovers well, man. I really do.
I do too. I hope he comes back and Detroit, at least thinks about playing. If I were him, dude, I wouldn't play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. You rehab for a year.
He was already thinking Mullen retirement too. So like,
I remember Dan Marino saying when Marino first came in the league, he moved around really well. He was still young, he's pretty athletic still,
Yeah.
and then he started having knee injuries. And he said that took a little bit on. He said when he tore his Achilles, he never moved the same way after that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking about a little bit of a different guy. Dan was a pure pocket passer.
Yeah,
But Aaron
a
Rodgers
little
makes you
different
move
era too.
around.
Different
Is
era
that a
too
good or
with medicine.
was that?
I say it's a different era too with the like type of medicines and stuff like that
It
too.
is, and you can't hit guys as much as you used to. But I mean, like to me, when you always hear about quarterbacks when you hit that back foot. Well, what happens if you can't plan on that back foot the way you used to?
Yeah.
So we'll
Wonder
see.
what leg was it? Was this left or right? It might have been his left.
I think
He's
it was.
right-handed. So
He is right-handed, so his back foot is actually his right foot.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
So
I think it was his left foot, though. I do remember.
I think it was too. I
I
think it
think it
was
was
too.
his left. I think it was his left actually, because I
Yeah,
remember it curling underneath of him as he fell to the ground.
yeah, yeah. So, man, that sucks. Again, I never want to see that happen. And we want to see Aaron Rodgers play like one of the better quarterbacks in the league for the forever. So definitely wish him the best. And it sucks that we can't see that offense and that team play under Aaron Rodgers with all the hype that was going around off season about it. And you know, it just sucks. So, but
Yeah,
man, I mean, it's part of the game though. But they do need to do something about this field. Like they got to do something about that field. I don't want my players either. So we got to play the Jets and we got to play the Giants twice this year. We got to play on our field twice this year. So
there has been some. I've heard a couple of different people say something about changing the field to regular turf, but I don't even remember who it was now.
grass, man, like let it. I loved playing on regular grass. I loved it. It just feels so much better under your feet. You like the ground absorbs the blows and like the regular like hitting in the ground like all this artificial stuff, man. It just bounce that energy right back at you, and that's why people get hurt. So, man,
And
that's
plus, people will say, "Well, grass is not even, blah blah blah." But you know what? When you walk on the grass, you kind of look for spots.
yeah,
That turf could be like a bad seam in it. You don't even see it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You don't, and really neither do the groundskeepers right away.
good.
If you remember when they closed down the vet years ago because
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore didn't want to play there, it was because it wasn't even a seam in the play. It was off to the sideline. But they were like, yeah, well, what happens if a guy runs over here and you don't see this?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
going to happen to him? So, that's really the money they're making, Jerome. There's no reason to play
they
on
can do it.
artificial turf anymore.
They can do it. They can do
There's
it.
no reason for it anymore, dude.
Yeah, they can do it. They can do it.
I
But
agree.
I mean, it's out of our hands. So, but that's gonna do it for us today, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this conversation, enjoyed this podcast. We appreciate all our commenters, like Chris, like Dom, like Avery. Appreciate each one of y'all for being in here. If you're watching and you're not able to comment on here, or you're watching on a replay, you definitely could go back on there by going to our hitting that QR code right on the right and right behind me. I'm gonna move a little bit. That little QR code right here. You can scan this little baby right there, and you can follow us on all our social media: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, where we do a lot of football coverage. We're gonna talk all college football, NFL, high school football on our Instagram, where we post all videos and things like that. Also, you can find our YouTube channel where you can make these comments and all that. So like and subscribe, like it says right under Ray, that supports us all the way. And then you can know when we are live, so you can go live. Or if you have a comment and you want to put a comment in there later on, we do comment back on all comments on our video. So make sure you do that for us as well. So as always, I'm Jerome Jones. That's Ray Roberts. Thank you guys so much. Hope you have a good football weekend. Our second full slate of football. Yes, it feels so good to say that. College football, high school football, NFL football. We have it all now, man. We here. Football season has started. I'm excited, and I hope you guys are excited as well. See y'all. Hope y'all have a good one and enjoy your weekend. Peace.